Hello, yes, this is me, and you are going to start to see my face in parts of videos going forward. But today's video is about the PlayStation Portal. This is Sony's handheld device that concentrates on content being streamed to it rather than installed on it. It's a very interesting and divisive device. It has also had that recent update that means you technically don't need a PlayStation anymore because you can cloud stream if you're a PlayStation Plus Premium member. But I've got some mixed feelings on it, and I want to share what I think is good and bad about it and who it may or may not be for. So hopefully you can decide, does this have a place in your setup? One of the biggest complaints at launch was that the Portal only worked with remote play from your own PS5. But thanks to a recent update, you can now stream games directly from the PlayStation Plus library. It is now quite a large selection, but still not exactly the same amount of games available on your console. This makes the Portal way more flexible since you can access a wider range of games, even if your console is off or unavailable. Compared to using remote play on a phone, the Portal feels like an extension of your console in the first-party sense. It's an official device at the end of the day, and with its dedicated hardware and lack of background apps, it delivers a very seamless experience. One of the biggest plus points is that the Portal retains the full DualSense experience, with adaptive triggers, haptics, touchpad, everything that you expect from your console experience. That means games still feel immersive just like they do on the PlayStation 5. It has an 8-inch 1080p LCD screen that is at 60Hz refresh rate. It actually delivers quite crisp visuals and fluid performance. While an OLED screen would have been ideal, this display is still quite bright and clear for extended gaming sessions. I have never looked at the Portal screen and been wowed, but I've also never looked at it and felt disappointed. It does a good job for the task at hand. One of the biggest selling points is the simplicity of the Portal. There's no complicated app setups or sound settings and video buffer settings. There's none of those headaches. You turn it on, you connect it to Wi-Fi, and you're gaming within a very short space of time. The biggest drawback to the Portal is that it entirely depends on a good internet connection. That does apply to the cloud streaming, but it also very much applies to your local internet quality for the remote play. If your internet is slow or unreliable, your experience will suffer, whether through lag, compression artifacts, or outright disconnections. Everybody's experience is going to be different. It's important to remember with remote play that it's not just about your download speed that's advertised by your service provider. It's actually more about the quality of your home network connection. So it depends on things like the distance between your PlayStation and your Portal, if any of those devices are wired into the internet, if there is other devices in between or around and online at the same time, and also if there's any kind of metallic or interfering objects around as well. All of this plays a vital role in how much quality you are getting on that remote play experience. Apparently only due to latency concerns, the PlayStation Portal still doesn't support Bluetooth audio. It uses PlayStation's Link software instead for headsets. If you don't own a PS Link compatible headset, you'll need to use wired headphones because there is that 3.5mm jack in the Portal. It does feel like an unnecessary limitation in 2025. The only other alternative is to purchase an auxiliary to Bluetooth adapter. This is actually a very interesting point that I think for some people won't be as much of an issue. It'll more so be an issue for people that play competitive, fast-paced titles. And I think some won't even notice this. But while the PlayStation Portal is optimized for remote play, latency I found in my tests is actually a little bit higher compared to other devices like a phone, a tablet, a laptop, or a Steam Deck. It's ironic because these other devices are often using third-party applications, and the official PlayStation solution is not as well optimized for latency compared to some of these third-party solutions. Even with a perfect connection, input delay is actually noticeably higher on the Portal due to how it processes the stream. This makes those fast-paced games like shooters or fighters feel slightly less responsive, which could be a deal breaker for those competitive players. While cloud gaming makes the Portal more versatile, it's still a handheld that's completely locked into PlayStation's ecosystem. There's no native support for apps like Netflix, YouTube, or even basic web browsing. If you're hoping for a handheld experience that kind of gives you gaming, multimedia, other options like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally, or even the Switch to some regard, the Portal will not be able to do that. And this particular point, the price, is either a positive or a negative. For me, it's still a negative, and I think depending on who you are, you might have a difference of opinion with me on this one. But at £199, the Portal sits in a weird spot in the handheld market. It's cheaper than a Steam Deck and a ROG Ally, and that's quite rightly so because it lacks the versatility of those devices. When it was first announced, I actually expected Sony to price this even higher, and I would have just gone, no, I'm not getting one at that point. But £199 was about the top end of what I was willing to pay. And I think it's still a little bit too high in terms of what you get for the price. A controller with a smart device offers a very similar remote play experience. In fact, maybe not as seamless, but as we've discussed, maybe better latency. The thing is, you probably already own a controller and already own a smart device. So there's zero cost attached to that comparison. So with cloud gaming now in the mix, who should actually buy the PlayStation Portal? I think it's good for PS5 owners who want a dedicated remote gaming device that has full DualSense functionality and if you have a solid home internet connection. If you sometimes can only couch game because the TV is in use, the Portal makes a lot of sense there. And if you can afford it, it's a pretty solid option. I think it's an even better choice for people that also want to make use of the cloud streaming feature. If you're somebody who wants to maybe spend some time away from the TV and the PlayStation, but the space you have available on your PlayStation is limited, you can cloud stream all those titles directly to your Portal and enjoy it. And to be honest, the quality of the cloud streaming is excellent, I found. I have not even seen any issues. In some cases, the cloud streaming was performing better for me than the remote play function of a similar game. I really don't think this is a great idea for players who travel frequently or if you have unreliable internet. And also if you want a handheld that has some extra experiences like native apps or multimedia apps. As said before, I really don't recommend this for competitive gamers. Or if you're somebody who wants to do some of your Call of Duty sessions or your Street Fighter sessions away from the telly and on the sofa because of that increased latency. And it's going to be frustrating for those people because they are the people that it will be most noticeable. And remember, there are some better remote play options via third-party apps on other devices. I still think the PlayStation Portal is a very specific device. While it is an option for people who don't always have access to the TV, the increased latency and the lack of offline play and that missing Bluetooth support hold it back from being a must-have for everyone or a broader audience. Within the PlayStation ecosystem audience, I do think it does look pretty cool and it does fit quite well into that PlayStation-centric setup. But the other complications for it is most people it is aimed at have that PS5, have that DualSense controller and a smart device. So they already can do the remote play side of things without spending an extra £200. Despite respecting the Portal for what it is and spending some pretty enjoyable time with it, it's that extra cost that will put other people off. And to be honest, I don't always reach for it when I want to remote play. I'll often turn on my iPad, turn on the DualSense or a controller that's nearby and do it that way instead. What do you think? Does the cloud gaming update now make the Portal offer enough unique features for you? Is it worth a purchase? Or is that latency issue a deal breaker? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this log, and until next time, happy gaming. Hello. No. So you don't necessarily need a PlayStation anymore. You can have games streamed from the premium library and no. Or you could be unsure about what even is going to happen. has had a recent update where it now has a noise in the background. Make a decision, does this have a place in your setup? That's not accurate.